The great hall of the Velkara Empire glittered with golden light from twin suns hanging above the planet. Hundreds of alien warriors stood in rows, their armor shining like blue glass, their faces calm and proud. At the center of the hall stood Princess Zalara, the most feared warrior of her people. Her reputation stretched across 10 star systems. It was said that no one had ever defeated her in single combat. That day, a strange visitor stood before her, a human. The alien crowd murmured softly, their words filled with disbelief. No one had expected the challenge to come from such a small, soft-looking creature. The human's name was Captain Ethan Cole, an officer from the Earth Defense Fleet. He had been sent as part of a peace delegation, not as a fighter. But when Zalara had mocked humanity's strength, Ethan had simply smiled and said, "Maybe we should test that." Those few words had turned the entire hall silent. The Velkara warriors stared at him, thinking he must have lost his mind. To challenge their princess was to ask for humiliation. Yet Ethan had not stepped back. Zalara crossed her arms, her tall figure towering over him. "You," she said, her voice echoing. "You won't last a minute against me, human." Ethan looked up at her calmly. "Then a minute is all I'll need." The hall erupted with laughter. Even the guards by the door couldn't hold their amusement. A few warriors placed small bets on how fast Zalara would defeat the strange visitor. No one believed the human could stand a chance. But Ethan was not just any man. He had seen more battles than most soldiers of Earth. He had faced impossible odds and lived. Beneath his calm smile, his mind was already studying every detail. The princess's movements, her stance, the rhythm of her breathing. He didn't come here to win glory. He came to earn respect. Zalara's father, Emperor Valen, leaned forward on his throne. "My daughter does not fight for sport, human. Are you sure you wish to do this?" Ethan bowed slightly. "Yes, your majesty. Let it be a friendly duel. No harm beyond pride," the emperor nodded. "Very well. Prepare the arena." The arena of the Velkara was built inside a colossal dome, surrounded by crystal pillars that hummed with energy. Thousands of aliens filled the stands, eager to see the foolish humans defeat. The crowd shimmered with every color imaginable: green scales, red skin, silver eyes. To them, this was entertainment. To Ethan, it was a test of humanity's honor. He stood at one end of the arena, wearing a light combat suit made from Earth's latest nanofiber. He didn't carry any weapon. Zalara, on the other hand, wore gleaming battle armor and carried a long spear that pulsed with blue light. Her expression was confident, almost amused. "Still no weapon, human?" she called out. "I have one," Ethan said. "You just can't see it." Zalara raised an eyebrow. "Bravery or foolishness, I can't tell." When the signal rang, the crowd leaned forward, waiting for the quick end they expected. Zalara moved like lightning, her spear cutting through the air. But Ethan sidestepped just in time, the spear tip missing him by an inch. He didn't attack. He only moved. The crowd gasped. No one had ever dodged her first strike before. Zalara frowned slightly, surprised. She spun the spear in her hand and struck again, faster, harder, sharper. Ethan ducked, rolled, and slipped away like a shadow. He wasn't trying to overpower her. He was learning, watching how her muscles moved, how she shifted weight, how the weapon hummed before each thrust. Within seconds, the princess's amusement began to fade. "You run well, human," she said. "But running won't save you." "I'm not running," Ethan said, smiling. "I'm just thinking." He moved closer this time. When Zalara struck again, he caught the spear with both hands, twisted his body, and used her own momentum to pull her slightly off balance. The crowd gasped again. For a heartbeat, the princess stumbled. Ethan didn't attack. He stepped back, releasing the spear politely. "Your weapon hums before every swing," he said. "It's beautiful but predictable." Her golden eyes narrowed. For the first time, she felt a spark of respect. "You notice much, human." "I've had good teachers," he replied. The duel continued. Sweat glistened on Zalara's skin, her energy spear flashing brighter with every move. Ethan's breathing was calm and steady. Though the princess's strikes could have shattered stone, he met each one with perfect timing, minimal motion, and unexpected grace. The alien crowd grew silent. Their laughter had vanished. This was no joke. The human was lasting far longer than anyone thought possible. Finally, Zalara leaped high, her spear glowing with energy. She landed hard, the weapon slicing through the air with the force of thunder. The ground cracked where Ethan had been standing, but he had already moved. When she turned, he stood behind her, his hand lightly touching her shoulder. "If this were a real battle," he said quietly, "you'd be down now." She froze, realizing he had reached her unguarded side without being seen. Slowly, she turned her head toward him. Her pride burned, but so did something else, admiration. The referee, a tall alien judge, raised his arm. Match paused. The arena buzzed with whispers. No one had ever seen their princess at such a disadvantage. Zalara's father watched silently, his expression unreadable. Then he stood and said, "Continue." Zalara took a deep breath. "You're full of surprises, human." "Only when needed," Ethan said. This time she smiled faintly. "Then let's both stop holding back." The next few minutes were a blur of motion and light. Zalara's strikes became sharper, her movements almost too fast for the human eye, but Ethan adjusted with uncanny precision. Every attack she launched met a counter. Every trap she set was read before it sprung. The duel was no longer about victory, it was about understanding. Finally, both warriors stepped back, breathing heavily. The arena was silent again. Zalara lowered her weapon first. "You are strong," she said softly. "Stronger than I expected." Ethan nodded. "And you are faster than I imagined." The referee looked at both of them. "The duel ends in a draw." The crowd exploded, not with laughter this time, but with cheers. They had just witnessed something historic, a human who had matched their greatest warrior. Even the Emperor smiled faintly, though his eyes were thoughtful. Zalara looked at Ethan. "Perhaps I judged too quickly." "It happens," he said, brushing the dust off his uniform. "First impressions can be dangerous." She tilted her head. "You fight differently than we do. Not for pride, not for fame. Why?" Ethan looked at her seriously. "Because humans fight to survive and to protect others. We don't always win, but we don't give up." Zalara felt a strange feeling inside, a mix of curiosity and respect. No one had ever made her question her strength before. This human, with his quiet calm and stubborn courage, had done something no warrior in her empire had achieved. The Emperor rose from his throne. "This duel has proven something important," he said. "Perhaps we have misjudged the humans." Zalara bowed her head slightly, glancing at Ethan. "Perhaps I have too." As the crowd chanted Ethan's name, the human smiled humbly. He had not come to win a fight, but to build a bridge. Yet deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The Velkara Empire would not forget this day, and neither would their princess. For in her eyes, a new spark had ignited. The challenge between them was far from over. After the duel, the Velkara palace was filled with quiet whispers. The warriors who once laughed at the human now spoke of him with respect and confusion. Some called him a lucky man. Others said he had secret powers. But deep down, everyone knew what they had seen. A human who had fought the undefeated princess to a draw. Princess Zalara walked through the grand corridors of the palace that evening, her mind full of questions. The glowing crystals along the walls cast blue light on her silver armor. She had trained since childhood, mastering every weapon, every combat style in her empire. Yet this one man had matched her without using any energy weapon or alien technology. She stopped at the balcony overlooking the capital city. Airships glided between tall towers, and the twin suns began to set, painting the sky in soft orange light. The princess sighed quietly. Behind her, a familiar voice spoke. "You still thinking about the duel?" Zalara turned and saw General Kale, her old mentor and the Empire's most trusted commander. He was tall and broad, his armor dark with age and battle marks. "I should have won easily," Zalara said, frowning. "But that human, he fought like he could see every move before I made it." Kyle chuckled. "Maybe he could. Humans have a strange way of surviving what others can't." She looked at him curiously. "You've studied them?" "A little," Kale said. "Their worlds are rough. Their species has faced many wars and disasters, yet they always rebuild. Their strength is not in power or weapons, it's in their will." Zalara thought about Ethan's calm eyes during the fight. He didn't fight for pride or victory. He fought with purpose. That was what confused her most. "Will, huh?" she whispered. "Maybe that's something we don't understand." Kyle nodded. "Perhaps. But be careful, princess. Curiosity about outsiders can be dangerous." She smiled faintly. "Danger makes life interesting." Meanwhile, Ethan stood in the guest quarters of the palace. The room was huge, with floating lights, soft energy curtains and a balcony view of the city. He had been given respect after the duel, but he still felt like an outsider. The Velkara were polite yet distant. He sat by the table, cleaning a small wrist device, the translator he had used during his time with the delegation. His communicator beeped softly, and the face of Admiral Reyes appeared in holographic form. "Captain Cole," the Admiral said, "word of your little duel has reached Earth Command. Care to explain why our peace envoy turned into a fighting tournament?" Ethan smiled. "It wasn't planned, sir. The princess challenged our strength." "I couldn't walk away," Reyes sighed. "Well, you made quite an impression. The Velkara Emperor seems interested in further talks. But be careful, Ethan. We're still negotiating trade routes. Don't give them any reason to turn hostile." "Understood, sir," Ethan replied. The hologram faded, leaving him alone again. He looked out at the alien city. The lights twinkled like stars, and the alien ships moved gracefully through the skies. "So much beauty," he murmured, "and so much pride." There was a knock at the door. "Come in," Ethan said. The door slid open, and Princess Solara stepped inside. She was wearing light ceremonial robes instead of armor this time, her golden eyes calm and curious. Ethan stood quickly, surprised. "Your Highness," he said. "Didn't expect a royal visit." She smiled slightly. "I don't like formalities. Just call me Solara." "That might start a diplomatic incident," Ethan joked. She laughed softly, a sound that surprised him. "I wanted to speak with you," Solara said. "About the duel. Still thinking about it?"
he asked. "Yes," she admitted.
"I've never met someone who fights like you. You read every move as if you knew me." Ethan shrugged. "It wasn't magic. I just watched, listened, and stayed calm. Most people lose because they get angry." "Anger is strength," Solara said. "Not always," Ethan replied gently. "Sometimes anger blinds us." She looked thoughtful. "Then what gives human strength?" He paused. "Hope. We fight because we want a better tomorrow. Even when things look hopeless, we keep trying." Her eyes softened. "That sounds strange, but also beautiful." Ethan smiled. "Maybe we're both strange to each other." They talked for a long while. Solara asked about Earth, its oceans, its mountains, its people. Ethan described how humanity had grown, how they learned from failure and how they reached the stars not to conquer but to explore. Solara listened silently, her curiosity growing with every word. When she finally stood to leave, she said quietly, "You've given me much to think about. Human. And you've shown me that strength can wear many faces," Ethan replied. Their eyes met for a moment, and something unspoken passed between them. Respect, and perhaps the beginning of friendship. The next morning, a sudden alarm rang through the palace. The walls vibrated with deep warning sounds. Ethan jumped to his feet and rushed to the balcony. In the distance, black smoke rose from one of the city's outer defense towers. Moments later, General Kale appeared on the main screen of the palace. "Your Majesty, we are under attack. Unknown ships have entered orbit." The Emperor's voice was steady but sharp. "Identify them." Kyle's face darkened. "They bear the mark of the Kradan Dominion." Gasps filled the command chamber. The Kradan were known as merciless raiders who conquered planets for resources. They had fought the Velkara before, but never so deep into their space. Solara stepped forward. "Prepare my fleet." "I'll lead the defense," her father hesitated. "You will take the main fleet, but remember, protect the civilians first." "Yes, father," Ethan, still in the chamber, said firmly. "Let me help." Kyle frowned. "You've done enough, human. This is not your battle." Ethan shook his head. "If they destroy this city, peace between us dies too." "I'm not standing aside," Solara looked at him. "You would fight for us?" "I fight for anyone who stands against tyranny," he said simply. There was a silence, then the Emperor nodded. "Very well, human. You may assist the defense fleet." Hours later, the sky above the planet burned with light. Massive alien warships clashed in orbit, their energy beams tearing through space. The Velkara ships were elegant and swift, but the Kradan fleet was brutal and heavily armed. On the bridge of Solara's flagship, she stood beside Ethan, both watching the chaos unfold on the main screen. Her hands moved quickly over the control panels, giving orders to her pilots. "Squadron 7, flank right. Keep formation tight." Ethan studied the tactical display. "Their main assault ships are focusing on your power cores. They're trying to cut off your energy network." She looked at him, surprised. You can read our systems? I'm a fast learner, Ethan said with a small grin. If we redirect your energy flow through the secondary relays, you can hold longer. She nodded. Do it. The battle raged for hours. Ethan coordinated with the engineers, adapting Earth's combat strategies to alien ships. His quick thinking saved 2 cruisers from destruction. Solara was impressed by how he stayed calm even when surrounded by danger. At one point, a Paragon ship broke through the defense line and aimed directly at their flagship. The alarms blared. They're charging their main cannon, shouted a Velkara officer. Solara gritted her teeth. We can't dodge it in time. Ethan looked at the energy readings. We can block it. Impossible. Kale's voice came over the radio. Not if we reroute your power shields through the secondary emitters, Ethan said quickly. Trust me. Solara hesitated for only a second, then shouted, Do it! The ship trembled as the massive beam struck. Light flooded the screens. For a moment, everything went white. When the glow faded, the flagship still floated, scarred but alive. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Solara turned to Ethan, eyes wide. You were right, he smiled. Told you humans don't give up easily. The battle continued, but now the Velkara fleet fought with renewed spirit. Inspired by the human who refused to bow, they pushed back the Paragon forces until the raiders finally retreated beyond the system. When the skies cleared, the Velkara homeworld was safe once again. Back in the palace, the Emperor greeted the returning warriors. You have done well, he said. But one among you has shown us something rare. He looked at Ethan. Human, you fought for a world not your own. For that, the Velkara owe you their respect. Ethan bowed humbly. I just did what was right. Solara stepped forward, her expression soft but proud. You saved my people. You saved me, Ethan smiled. We saved each other. The Emperor raised his staff. From this day, Captain Ethan Cole is declared friend of the Empire. The great hall thundered with applause. As Solara looked at Ethan, she felt something new, an unfamiliar warmth in her chest. For the first time, she realized that perhaps strength was not just about power or skill. It was also about heart. And somewhere deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning of something much greater. The celebration of victory lasted through the twin nights of the Velkara homeworld. Towers across the shining capital were lit in gold and silver, and banners waved high in the sky. For the first time in decades, the Empire had fought off an invasion without losing a single city. And in every corner of the planet, one name was whispered with respect and amazement. Ethan Cole, the human who helped save them all. But while the crowds cheered, deep within the palace the mood was more thoughtful. Princess Solara sat quietly in the council chamber, her eyes on the holographic star map above the table. Around her sat her generals and advisors, discussing the after effects of the battle. The Paragon ships have retreated, said General Kale, his tone steady, but our scouts report strange energy signatures near the outer moons. We believe they are regrouping. The Emperor nodded gravely. They will not give up so easily. We must be ready. Solara looked at the map closely. Their attack was too focused, she said softly. They went straight for our power cores, as if they already knew our weak points. Kyle frowned. You're suggesting someone helped them? She met his gaze. Yes, someone inside our system. The room went silent. The idea of betrayal among the Velkara was unthinkable, but Solara's instincts had rarely been wrong. Ethan, standing beside her as an honored guest, spoke quietly. If the Paragon knew your systems that well, they had help from someone who understands your defenses. Kale crossed his arms. And how do we find such a traitor? Ethan looked at the map. We don't look for who helped them. We look for who gained something from the attack. The Emperor's eyes glimmered with interest. You think this was about more than war? Ethan nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. The Paragon never attack without reason. Someone wanted chaos here, someone who benefits from fear. The Emperor thought for a long moment, then said, Very well. Captain Cole, Princess Solara, I assign this task to you both. Find the truth. The following day, Solara and Ethan boarded a small scout ship named Vera, built for stealth and speed. The ship rose smoothly from the palace hangar and soared into the clouds. Below them, the golden capital grew smaller until it vanished beneath the white mist. Solara sat at the controls, her hands moving swiftly across the glowing panels. Ethan watched her work, focused, calm, powerful. You fly well, he said. She smiled faintly. You sound surprised. Not surprised, Ethan said. Just impressed. She turned to him, a glint of amusement in her eyes. Careful, human. Flattery can be dangerous, he chuckled. Only if it's false. Her expression softened, but she quickly looked away. Our scanners show a faint Kraton signal near the second moon, she said. We'll start there. The journey to the outer moon took several hours. From orbit, the small gray world looked cold and silent, its surface marked with craters and shadows. As the Vera descended, Ethan noticed signs of structures, metal towers half buried in dust, and energy lines running deep beneath the surface. This place was a mining station once, Zalara said. Abandoned for years. Looks like someone decided to move back in, Ethan replied. They landed quietly and stepped out into the thin atmosphere, wearing light breathing masks. The air was cold, and the ground crunched under their boots. Zalara's energy spear hummed faintly in her hand, while Ethan held a compact sensor device that scanned for life signs. They walked toward the ruins. Faint lights flickered from beneath the ground. Then Ethan's device beeped softly. Multiple signals, he said. Not Kraton. Velkara readings, Zalara frowned. That's impossible. Before they could react, a group of armored figures stepped out from the shadows, their armor bearing the mark of the Velkara Royal Guard. Lower your weapons. One of them shouted. Ethan and Zalara froze. Identify yourselves, Zalara commanded. The leader removed his helmet, revealing the cold face of Commander Rin, one of the Emperor's own officers. Your Highness, he said calmly. You shouldn't be here. Zalara's eyes narrowed. You're far from the palace, Commander. Explain yourself. Rin smiled faintly. The Emperor doesn't need to know everything. Some of us believe our empire must change, must grow stronger. The Kraton understand that strength. They offered us power in exchange for cooperation. Ethan stepped forward. You sold out your own people? Rin's gaze hardened. The humans have no place here, outsider. You interfere in matters you can't understand. Before Zalara could respond, Rin raised his weapon. Take them. But Zalara was faster. She swung her spear, its blue light cutting through the air, disarming 2 guards in seconds. Ethan moved beside her, dodging blasts and using quick, precise strikes to disable their energy rifles. His calm, tactical movements surprised even the Velkara soldiers. Within moments, the skirmish ended. The rebels were on the ground, stunned but alive. Zalara pressed her spear against Rin's armor. Why betray your people? Rin sneered. Because peace makes us weak. The Emperor fears progress. The Kraton promised new weapons, new power. With their help, we could rule the stars. By destroying your honor? Zalara said bitterly. You shame our ancestors. Ethan crouched beside Rin. Where's the Kraton base? Rin smirked. Too late. They're already coming for both of you. Suddenly an alarm sounded. The moon's surface shook, and above them several Kraton warships appeared in orbit. They've found us, Zalara shouted. Then we need to move now, Ethan said. They ran back to the Vera as explosions began to erupt across the moon. The small scout ship lifted off just as beams of light struck the ground behind them. Zalara's hands flew over the controls, dodging debris and energy blasts. 2 ships are following us, she said. Give me the co-pilot controls, Ethan said, sliding into the seat beside her. His fingers moved quickly, rerouting power from the shields to the engines. If we boost our rear thrusters, we can use the moon's gravity to slingshot away. She gave him a quick, impressed look. Do it! The Vera dove toward the moon's surface, the Kraton ships firing relentlessly. At the last moment, Ethan activated the thrusters. The ship curved upward sharply, flying past the attacking ships and speeding into open space. The sudden acceleration pushed them both back in their seats. But the maneuver worked. The Kraton ships overshot their target. Zalara exhaled in relief. That was close, Ethan smiled. I like to keep things interesting, she glanced at him. You humans are reckless. And yet somehow it works, he said. When they finally returned to the palace, the Emperor listened to their report in silence. When they finished, he rose slowly from his throne. I trusted Commander Rin, the Emperor said softly. His betrayal cuts deep. Ethan stepped forward respectfully. Your Majesty, he was only part of it. The Kraton have spies across your borders. They'll strike again soon. The Emperor nodded. Then we will prepare. But more than that, we must understand what drives them. Power is not their only goal. Zalara looked thoughtful. Perhaps someone else is behind them, Ethan agreed. If they wanted to conquer, they would have brought more ships. No, they're testing something, maybe a weapon, maybe a plan. The Emperor's gaze turned to Ethan. Then, Captain, I ask you to continue helping my daughter. Together you may uncover the truth. Ethan nodded firmly. I'll do everything I can. As the meeting ended, Zalara walked beside Ethan through the palace corridors. The light from the setting suns painted soft gold across the floor. For a long while, neither spoke. Finally, she said quietly, "You didn't have to come with me today. You could have stayed safe in the palace." Ethan looked at her with a small smile. "Safety isn't why I'm here." She stopped, meeting his eyes. "Then why are you here, human?" He hesitated for a moment, then said simply, "Because I believe peace is worth fighting for, and I think you do too." Her expression softened. "You're strange, Ethan Cole." "I get that a lot," he said with a grin. For a moment, they both laughed. Two warriors from different worlds, standing side by side under the same suns. But in the shadows above the palace towers, unseen eyes watched them through hidden lenses. A cold, distant voice whispered through the darkness, "So, the human thinks he understands them. Let him believe that, for now." And somewhere far beyond the stars, the real enemy began to move. The Velkara Empire had survived the first wave of the Crodon attack, but the peace that followed was uneasy. Princess Zalara moved with purpose through the palace corridors, training and planning with her fleet commanders. Yet in her heart a new question had begun to grow. Who was truly behind the Cradon's sudden aggression? Captain Ethan Cole had become her constant companion. Not only had he earned the respect of her people, he had also earned her trust. Together they trained, strategized, and learned to anticipate the moves of an enemy, whose plans remained hidden. One morning, Zalara received a secure message from a scout ship returning from the outer systems. She quickly gathered Ethan and the council in the briefing chamber. "Report," she commanded. The scout captain appeared holographically, his form flickering with static energy. "Princess Captain Cole, we found a large vessel beyond the third moon. It does not bear Crodon markings. Its energy signature is unusual, very advanced, unlike anything we have seen." Zalara's golden eyes narrowed. "Unusual how?" "It seems to manipulate gravity," the scout replied. "It can cloak itself, move silently, and its weapons are far beyond standard Cradon technology. We could not approach it closely." Ethan leaned forward, studying the readings. "This isn't just a Cradon operation. Someone else is directing them, or maybe supplying them with advanced tech." "Exactly," Zalara said. "We need to see this vessel. If we let it operate unchecked, it could mean war across the entire system." The Emperor, who had been silently observing, nodded. "Then you will take a strike team and investigate. But be cautious. If you are discovered, there may be no mercy." Zalara and Ethan boarded the stealth ship Shadowfang, a sleek craft designed to avoid detection. Its black surface absorbed the light of the twin suns, rendering it almost invisible in space. Inside, Ethan adjusted the sensors while Zalara prepared the navigational controls. "Are you ready for this?" Zalara asked, her voice steady but tinged with anticipation. Ethan nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's see what's out there." The Shadowfang glided silently through the outer asteroid belt, weaving between rocks and shadows. Hours passed in tense silence until finally, the enormous vessel appeared before them. It floated like a black monolith against the stars, massive and silent, with strange geometric shapes lining its hull. Its presence radiated a sense of cold intelligence, as if it were alive. Ethan scanned the energy readings. "This is unlike anything humans or Velkara have built. Its power sources are immense. It could destroy a planet if used correctly." Zalara's lips tightened. "Then we must know its purpose before it can do any harm." They approached cautiously, using the ship's stealth capabilities to stay hidden. Zalara maneuvered the Shadowfang close enough for Ethan to project a scanning beam. The ship's hull responded with a shimmer, but no attack came. It seemed to be observing them as much as they observed it. Suddenly, a panel on the Shadowfang flashed. A holographic image appeared in the cockpit. A tall, imposing figure with deep blue skin and eyes like liquid silver. "Welcome," the figure said. "I am Overseer Talira. You are far from home, humans and Velkara, yet you interfere where you do not belong." Zalara stiffened. "Who are you, and why are you controlling the Crodon?" Talira's expression was unreadable. "Control is not the word I would use. Influence, guidance, Their technology is primitive, but they are useful tools for my design. Ethan frowned. Design for what? The figure's lips curled slightly. The galaxy will soon face a change. I intend to shape its future. Those who resist are obstacles. Those who obey will survive. Zalara's voice was cold. You threaten countless worlds. Talira's gaze swept over them, calculating and precise. I do not threaten. I create order, and yet, your species, human, shows qualities I did not anticipate. You may prove... Interesting. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Interesting. That's a warning, not a compliment. Talira tilted her head. Perhaps, but your courage and resourcefulness cannot be ignored. You may survive longer than expected. Then the figure vanished, leaving only the ghostly shimmer of the hologram. The Shadowfang systems beeped softly as the scan concluded. Ethan turned to Zalara. This is bigger than we thought. Talira isn't just a Crawdon ally. She's something else, something far more dangerous. Zalara's hands clenched on the controls. Then we must warn the Empire and prepare. But we can't attack blindly. We need information about her, her ship, and her plans. Back at the Velkara capital, Zalara and Ethan presented their findings to the Emperor and the Council. The room was filled with tension. This overseer Talira, she seems more advanced than any civilization we know, Ethan explained. If she decides to strike, no standard fleet can stop her. The Emperor leaned on his staff. Then we must prepare a new strategy. Perhaps we need to unite allies, even those we once considered enemies. Zalara spoke up. And the Crawdon? They follow her lead. If we defeat them without stopping her, she will simply raise another army. Kale frowned. This is no longer a battle, it is a chessboard. One false move and the Empire falls. Ethan's gaze was steady. Then we move carefully but decisively. We learn her patterns, find her weaknesses, and act when the moment is right. The Council nodded, though unease lingered in the room. No one had faced an enemy of this scale before. Over the next days, Zalara and Ethan worked together relentlessly. They studied Crawdon movements, intercepted communications, and ran simulations of possible attacks. Through every exercise, Ethan's analytical mind brought new insights, while Zalara's combat experience ensured practical strategies. During one late-night session in the strategy room, Zalara paused and looked at Ethan. You've taught me more in these few days than decades of my training. Ethan smiled softly. And you've shown me courage I didn't know I could see in someone else. Kalara's cheeks flushed slightly. You're strange, human, and you're something I didn't expect either, he said. Their eyes met for a long moment, but the tension was broken by the urgent chime of the communications console. A scout ship had detected unusual activity near a distant asteroid field. Zalara and Ethan exchanged a glance. Without a word, they rushed to the hangar, boarding the Shadowfang once again. The asteroid field was dark, filled with jagged rocks and shadows. From within, a squadron of Crawdon ships emerged, faster and more aggressive than before. Their formation suggested a coordinated attack, likely instructed by Talira herself. Zalara's hands moved over the controls with precision. Evasive maneuvers. Keep them from surrounding us. Ethan adjusted the sensor array. I've detected weak points in their formation. If we split them here, we can take them one at a time. Together, they worked in perfect synchronization. Zalara piloted with unmatched skill, while Ethan predicted enemy movements and advised on positioning. One by one, the Crawdon ships were neutralized, forced to retreat into the shadows of the asteroid field. After the battle, Zalara exhaled. I've never fought like that before. Side by side with another, it changes everything. Ethan gave a small grin. Humans call it teamwork. Works better than pride alone. She chuckled softly. Maybe I should try it more often. For the first time, Zalara realized that strength was more than skill or speed. It was trust, strategy, and the courage to rely on others. And in Ethan, she had found an unexpected partner. As the Shadowfang returned to the Velkara homeworld, the stars seemed calm once more. Yet Zalara couldn't shake the feeling that the real storm was still out there. Overseer Talira had not revealed her full plan, and the Crawdon were only pawns in a game that stretched far beyond their understanding. Ethan looked at Zalara from the co-pilot seat. We've seen her power, but not her motives. Whoever she is, she's testing us. Zalara nodded. And we need to be ready, not just for the Crawdon, but for whatever comes next. Above the twin suns of the Velkara capital, A shadow moved silently across the stars. Overseer Talira observed them, her thoughts unreadable. "Interesting," she murmured. "They are stronger than I expected. But strength alone will not stop what is coming." And in that moment, both worlds, Velkara and Earth, stood on the edge of a new chapter. A chapter that would test courage, intelligence, and the unbreakable bond of trust between two warriors from different worlds. The Velkara Empire braced for the threat that had emerged from the shadows. Overseer Talira had revealed herself, and her control over the Kraton and her unknown motives were unlike anything the Empire had faced before. Even Zalara, the undefeated warrior princess, felt a chill of unease as she prepared the fleet for what could be the greatest battle of their lives. Yet, beside her, Captain Ethan Cole remained calm. His presence was a quiet assurance, a reminder that human ingenuity had overcome impossible odds before, and could do so again. "We have confirmation," said General Kale, his tone grave. "Talira's fleet is moving toward the Velkara system. They are heavily shielded, far faster than anything we've encountered." Zalara placed her hand on the holographic star map. "We cannot wait. If they reach the core cities, millions of lives are at risk." Ethan studied the incoming fleet data. "We need more than just power. She's fast, strong, and intelligent. Standard tactics won't work." Kyle looked skeptical. "Then what do you suggest, human?" Ethan pointed to a cluster of small moons near the main planet. "We use the environment to our advantage. Talira's fleet relies on direct attacks. If we lure them into the gravitational field of the moons, we can force them into a bottleneck and neutralize their numbers." Zalara's eyes lit with understanding. "A trap. Dangerous but effective," Ethan nodded. "It works if we coordinate perfectly and trust each other." Zalara smiled faintly. "Then we are ready." The Velkara fleet moved into position under Zalara's command. Ships of every size, cruisers, fighters, and stealth vessels, glided silently through the outer orbit. Ethan assisted in coordinating the formation, providing real-time calculations and adaptive strategies to counter Talira's moves. Hours passed in tense silence. Then, without warning, the alien monolith appeared on sensors. Talira's flagship was massive, black and gleaming, emitting pulses of energy that distorted space itself. Her smaller vessels formed a perfect wedge, advancing with precision and menace. Zalara's voice was steady but intense over the comms. "Hold formation. Wait for the trap." Ethan monitored the readings. "They're coming fast. Shields at maximum. Engines calibrated to intercept. Ready for evasive maneuvers on my mark." The Kraton vanguard, still under Talira's influence, charged forward. Her flagship loomed like a storm cloud above the moons. At the perfect moment, Ethan signaled, "Now." The Velkara fleet dove toward the asteroid belt surrounding the moons, feinting a retreat. Talira's fleet pursued aggressively, confident that their superior speed and firepower would overwhelm the defenders. But the gravitational pull of the moons worked against them. Large vessels were slowed unexpectedly and their formation became disordered. Zalara saw the opportunity. "Focus fire on the smaller ships," she ordered. "Use the moons to shield us from the flagship's energy blasts." The Velkara ships moved with precision, striking from angles the Kraton could not anticipate. Ethan coordinated every attack, predicting Talira's maneuvers with uncanny accuracy. Each strike was calculated, designed not to destroy everything at once, but to weaken the fleet systematically. Talira, observing the battle from her flagship, frowned. "The human, he anticipates every move. Adjust fleet formation. Flank from the left." Her orders were executed immediately. Energy beams tore through the asteroid field, and for a moment the Velkara fleet faltered. One cruiser took heavy damage, and Zalara's chest tightened. Ethan's fingers flew over his controls. "Divert auxiliary shields to protect the cruiser. Split the fighter squadrons to intercept. Trust me." Zalara hesitated, then nodded. She executed the maneuvers with perfect precision. The small fleet of human-guided strikes successfully neutralized two of the Kraton attack groups. The Velkara ships pressed the advantage, pushing Talira's vessels toward the moon's gravity traps. From the flagship, Zalara activated her personal fighter pod, taking a daring approach toward Talira herself. The massive black ship fired beams of energy, slicing through space, but she dodged with skill unmatched in Velkara history. Ethan, monitoring her movements from the Shadow Fang, provided real-time guidance. "Left now. Brace for recoil," he called. Zalara twisted her pod, narrowly avoiding a lethal strike, and fired a precise energy shot that disabled one of Talira's smaller defensive drones. For the first time, the monolithic flagship registered a hit from the Velkara forces. Talira's expression remained calm, but her silver eyes flickered. She had underestimated the combined power of a human strategist and a Velkara warrior. Hours passed in a fierce dance of light and energy. The battle raged around the moons, but slowly the tide began to turn. The smaller Kradon ships were neutralized, their numbers dwindling. Talira's flagship, massive and intimidating, remained, but even it had been forced to adjust to the Velkara trap. Solara's pod weaved through energy blasts, her golden eyes sharp. "Ethan, I need a way to reach her flagship directly." Ethan studied the readings. "There's a structural gap in the rear energy grid. If you can penetrate it, you can board her ship." "That's almost impossible," Solara said, doubt creeping in. "I know," Ethan replied. "But you're almost impossible too. I'll guide you through the shields." With Ethan's precise calculations and her unmatched skill, Solara navigated a narrow corridor through the energy beams and docked her pod directly onto the flagship. The hull groaned as she prepared to board. Inside the flagship, Solara moved silently through the metallic corridors. Energy pulsed along the walls and the ship seemed alive, almost sensing her presence. Talira waited at the command chamber, her posture calm, her silver eyes gleaming. "You've come far, human-influenced Velkara," Talira said. "But this ends now." Solara stepped forward. "It ends when you stop threatening my people and every innocent world you intend to control." Ethan's voice echoed in her communicator. "Solara, aim for the core control panel near the center. Disable it and we can stop her fleet." The princess moved quickly, avoiding automated defenses. Talira's drones fired, but Solara's speed and skill allowed her to dodge each one. With precise strikes, she reached the control panel and planted an energy disruptor that Ethan had designed. The device hummed, emitting pulses that spread through the ship's circuits. The flagship shuddered. Energy shields faltered. The drones shut down. Talira's calm demeanor faltered. "Impossible. Human intellect. Velkara courage. Combined." Solara's spear hummed, casting blue light across the chamber. "You underestimated us. Strength is not just power. It is courage, trust, and determination." Talira's eyes flickered. Then she stepped back as the ship's systems collapsed. The Kradon fleet, now without guidance, broke formation and fled into the distant stars. Back on the Velkara homeworld, the citizens cheered. The moon's horizon lit with brilliant light as the fleet returned victorious. Emperor Valen met Solara and Ethan personally, pride shining in his eyes. "You have done what no one thought possible," he said. "The galaxy has seen the courage of our people and the wisdom of your guidance, human." Ethan bowed. "I only did what was necessary. Your people are strong, brave, capable, and honorable." Solara smiled at him. "We made a good team." "Indeed," Ethan replied. "Strangers from different worlds united by purpose." The Emperor turned to Solara. "Your leadership has grown beyond your years, and your friendship with this human has proven that true strength lies not just in skill, but in trust." Solara looked out at the twin suns. "Perhaps this is only the beginning. The universe is vast and there will always be challenges." Ethan nodded. "Then we face them together, humans and Velkara alike." In the distant void of space, the remnants of Overseer Talira's forces drifted. Talira herself remained aboard a small escape pod, her silver eyes cold but thoughtful. "Interesting," she whispered. "Perhaps they are stronger than I anticipated, but the galaxy is not finished testing them, and I am not finished observing." Even in defeat, her presence remained a looming shadow, a reminder that the universe was vast, mysterious, and full of challenges yet unseen. But for now, the Velkara Empire stood united, and humanity had earned respect among the stars. Solara and Ethan had proven that courage, strategy, and trust could overcome even the most impossible odds. And in the process, two worlds had forged a bond that could change the course of history. As the twin suns set behind the shining towers of the capital, Solara turned to Ethan, her golden eyes reflecting determination. "Ready for the next challenge, human?" Ethan grinned. "Always." And together they looked to the stars, where countless adventures, challenges, and discoveries awaited, a reminder that even in the vast, cold universe, courage and heart could shine brighter than any weapon or fleet.